In this episode of the First channel, we will explore the origins of striptease. Starting in the 1850s, what is often referred to as the scandal of tights swept through America. Flesh-colored stockings were worn on the stage by cancan dancers, revealing limbs that had been all but eliminated from the fashionable silhouette. The costume shocked audiences, but was allowed by the censors because it appeared on seemingly respectable stages in Europe, such as the Gaiety in London and the Folies Bergère in Paris. These 19th-century performers never actually disrobed, but they were harassed, fined, and occasionally jailed for pulling up their skirts, flashing their underwear in a way that aroused passion. In 1893, the American purveyors of the tights-clad leg show, found mainly in burlesque and vaudeville theaters, shed even more clothes in order to adapt the exotic dance of the Chicago World's Fair's Little Egypt. Early modern dancers like Isadora Duncan, Ruth St. Denis, and Maud Allen scandalized moralists with the degree of physical exposure in the costumes for their dances that were launched through the patronage of wealthy women interested in Orientalist art and culture. Duncan performed at ladies' matinees in bare feet and without tights, dressed only in a classical gown. St. Denis adopted the exotic dance of the World's Fairs and dressed in ultra-sheer and bejeweled net garments. Allen developed a dance of the Seven Veils based on the biblical story of Salomi that was so popular that prominent women were inspired to hold a costume party of Salomi-style dress. By the 1910s, the first accounts of striptease appeared on the heels of the advent of modern dance. Historian Joe Laurie Jr. claimed that vaudeville headliner Eva Tongue let the veils drop in her version of the Salomi dance in 1912. Morton Minsky claimed that burlesque performer Mae Dix invented it when she removed the detachable collar and cuffs of her costume in full view of the audience in order to save on her cleaning bill. Former stripteaser and Corio credited Hinda Wasow with inventing the act when forced to shimmy out of a chorus costume that had caught on the beads of the ensemble worn beneath for purposes of a quick change. The glorified girls featured in the mainstream Broadway review of Florence Ziegfeld Jr. also made nudity more and more acceptable on the stage with opulent tableaux such as Lady Godiva's Ride in the Follies of 1919. The result was striptease. The striptease represented a return to the flash and tickle approach of populist vaudeville dancers. That was infinitely more appealing to male audiences, and it was achieved not through nudity, but through an undressing that mimicked the disrobing which preceded a sexual encounter. Nudity made artistic became artistry made erotic. Four burlesque producer brothers named Minsky became inextricably connected with striptease in the 1920s. Their publicists, George Alabama Florida and Mike Goldrayer, came up with the name for it and promoted its finest practitioners. Margie Hart, Georgia Southern, and Corio, and the incomparable Gypsy Rose Lee. When the Great Depression came, the Minskys were able to lease a theater on Broadway. Gypsy Rose Lee thrived in Minsky shows during this era, and set the tone for high-style striptease as an extremely beautiful woman, who was also an engaging comedienne, and natural-born celebrity. They succeeded in 1937 when the word burlesque and the name Minsky were banned in New York City, and all the theaters that featured striptease were shut down. Throughout the 1940s, a few burlesque houses survived and Minsky strippers used their fame to headline shows on carnival midways. As nightclubs entered a boom following World War II, striptease came back in style again. The star performers of this era employed all the over-the-top shtick of 50 years of vaudeville in their acts. Starr had a red settee, which she had tricked out with a fan, canned smoke, and a piece of bright silk that would appear to go up in flames. Lili St. Cyr did interpretive striptease based on Salomi, Carmen, The Picture of Dorian Gray, and Sadie Thompson. In 1951, Frenchman Alain Bernardin opened the Crazy Horse Saloon in Paris to bring American-style striptease to European cabaret audiences. Another garish heyday for striptease had arrived. The topless trend kicked off in the mid-1960s when a go-go dancer at a San Francisco strip club performed in Rudy Gernreich's topless bathing suit without getting arrested. Topless lunches, topless shoeshines, and other mundane acts improved by toplessness were featured in the clubs that had showcased striptease. Bottomlessness logically followed. By the 1970s, the hugely profitable pornography industry almost eclipsed live nude girls altogether. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the history of striptease. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the First's channel to support.